This will be part 5 of what if Deku could create quirks. Maybe the last part, depends on how far I get with this. If I get to a stopping point, to end it off. So, last time I left off a little bit after they had recruited Dobby and defeated the heroes and villains at the summer camp arc. So, let's go to what is currently happening. It's about a month afterwards. They've really, well, it's about 2 months after, and they've really just been training and all of that. So, Dobby has been learning some basic martial arts and training his body physically. He's about 50% faster than what he was before said training. So he's decently fast, but he's still not as fast as the others. But, yeah. So, that's where he's at. His quirk has gotten stronger, and, yeah, that's where his training's at. He also knows how to use a couple types of blades, And, yeah. So, Deku and everyone else has just been gradually getting stronger, over these 2 months. And, the only other thing of note is, that Momo, Deku, and, Shoka have been getting pretty close, and, Dobby and Shoka, they family, so, they, hang out a bit. So, yeah. Anyways. Yeah. So that's what's going on. So let's continue with, the main plot. So Deku has been planning with, everyone, pretty much, getting ideas on what, they should do next. What is decided is that they're just gonna, take out, villains and basically, continue the vigilante work even more, make that the main thing for a while, which is what they've done for the past month and, will continue to do for a bit. So yeah, that was a 2-month time skip. Now they are starting to plan a bit of a takedown for what remains of, the corrupt heroes. And, there's one other thing they've been meaning to do, recruit Stain, which Deku is, planning on. He, is gonna bring, Aizawa and, Shinso with him when he goes to recruit him, so, and this is a week before they, put their plan into motion, they're studying up on, his, patterns of attack and everything like that. Since Deku, he wants to recruit him and meet him, So, yeah. And, so time skip the week. They've been, looking into Stain and everything, doing the normal vigilante work, but everything like that. And, yeah. So, now, let's cover the meeting. So, Deku, Shinso, and Aizawa all went out, they went to separate targets, since Deku was fairly confident that any of them could handle him in a fight, even though that's not their goal. And everything like that. So, yeah. So, Deku and Shinso and Aizawa, they all went out, and they're not doing their normal vigilante work for the night since, they're going to find Stain. So, Deku's like, everyone else, cover, work extra hard, gotta keep crime rates low, which thanks to them, crime rates are like 90% lower than what they were at during the night, because that's when they're active. So, maybe having an effect. So, yeah. Anyways. Deku has, so Deku, Aizawa, and Shinso, they all split up, they're shadowing 3 different heroes, fake heroes that Stain, would likely be targeting, and by chance, Deku happens to run into him. So, Deku, finds him, and before he confronts Stain, he uses his telepathy to contact Aizawa and Shinso. Both of them, being told, hey, I found Stain, come to my, location, like this location, giving them the area. And they're like, alright. And after Stain, like right before Stain's about to kill the hero, Deku basically appears in front of Stain. Stain immediately gets in a fighting position and says, what do you want, kid? Deku says, hello to you too, Stain. I am not here to stop you if that's what you're worried about. I'm actually here to recruit you. And Stain's like, I don't want any part of your villain being a villain. He doesn't want to be a villain, And Deku says, I'm not any villain. I'm a vigilante, according to them heroes. And Stain says, oh, then why would I join you? What reason do I have to join you? Deku says, we fight for the same cause. We both want to take down the corrupt hero system, correct the mistakes of the past, destroy villains so people can have happy, peaceful lives. Stain says, how do I know you're not lying? Deku says, well, those two can attest to that, pointing at Shinso and Aizawa, who appeared. The two come out of the shadows and said, he's not lying. And Stain says, so you already have people working with you? Deku says, I have more than just them, but these are, well, my right hand, Shinso, and the next person in command after Shinso, Aizawa. Since, that chain of command makes sense, Shinso's second because, he was his first person, that was with him, and then Aizawa because he has, experience in these types of things. So, yeah. Anyways. So. So, how many people do you have? Stain says, not too many. Only the few that I picked out to be worthy. Stain says, fine, then fight me one-on-one. If you can beat me, then I will join you. Deku says, alright then. He smiled, and then looked at Stain, thinking Oh my, you do not know what you just asked for. Stain says, alright then. He then took out two of his katanas. And Deku took out one katana. He made a katana out of his quirk arsenal, saying, if a blade fight's what you want, a blade fight's what you'll get. And, since Deku is a master of these types of weapons, basically the fight goes that it's literally entirely one-sided. Like, Stain had almost hit him a couple times, but Deku hasn't even attacked. He's just been blocking. Stain at this point is tired, and it's been like 10 minutes, and in the middle of the fight, the hero, that Stain had paralyzed, he tried to crawl away. Aizawa just killed him, but nothing too surprising, because that's just how it be sometimes. And yeah, so it didn't interrupt their fight. So back to the fight. So Stain was basically tired now after 10 minutes, since his stamina isn't really his thing, since he only needs to get their blood and then paralyze them. But he hasn't been able to even touch Deku, so, Deku said, impressive. He says that, but then immediately gets behind Stain, behind his block, like his guard, with his blade right in front of Stain's throat, and says, but I win. Stain then says, I give, sheathing his swords, and says, but if I think for any reason at all that you're not who you say you are, I will end you. Deku laughs and says, well, you're free to try. But I don't lie about these types of things. So Shinso and Aizawa said, so, we going now, or like, Deku says, oh yeah, you two can go, it's fine. You guys can just, go back to base, and take the day off. And they're like, thanks, and head out. They just go back to the base, Anyways. So, after that, Deku, he teleports with Stain to, undisclosed area, It's basically just a place they can talk in private, with no unwanted attention. And, so Deku, he's like, so Stain, where do you, have base set up? Where's your base set up, Because, like, we have one, and, like, you can live there if you want, or, or we can set something up. Stain says, I think I'm fine on my own. And Deku says, alright, that's cool. But, he then makes what's the word? Telepathy. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting telepathy, specifically that word. I don't know why. He then makes a telepathy quirk and gives it to Stain and says, here, contact me anytime you want to come to the base. But, and, where is your base, actually, out of, I kind of got to know these things, if you're ever in trouble or anything. And Stain says, sure, it's at, this address. And then Deku then teleports them there. He tells Stain, interesting. Lots of weapons. He then says to Stain, how about this? I'll give you a different type of, what's the word? I'll give you a different type of, position in the group. Everyone else stays in my place and receives training from me. But you'll live out here on your own, unless at some point you wish to come and live with the rest of us. Which I recommend, but it's your choice. But I would like you to receive training from me at least every once in a while. We can't have one person lagging behind the rest of us. That'd just slow us down. And you have too much potential to let it go to waste. So, let's do this. You'll receive training from me every other day. From, let's say, 8 a.m. to noon. Any objections? Stain shakes his head since, he saw how good Deku was, and, he's like, that training could be pretty useful. Deku then says one more thing. Would you like me to upgrade your quirk? Stain says, oh wait, sorry about that. Stain says, sure, thanks. And Deku's like, no problem. Anyways, so Deku then takes Stain's quirk, upgrades it, so basically the blood type thing, all of them last 10 minutes now. Instead of like a couple of the blood types like only a minute or two, and like the vest is like 5 minutes. No, they're all 10 minutes now. And everything like that. And Deku's like, alright, here you go. He then gives the quirk to Stain and, says, you can receive training from us tomorrow. But, I might as well show you around now, since, we don't have anything else to do. And I don't want to cut into training time showing you around the base. Anyways, one sec. Sorry. Anyways, so Stain says, alright, I don't have anything else to do, so sure. Deku says, alright. So he then teleports them in, he shows Stain around. He's like, this is the kitchen where we cook and eat, the living room, everything. He then goes and is like, so this is, like the training room, it's like a huge ass room, with tons of capabilities. He shows him like an outdoor training field, everything, the pool, the storage facilities, and he's like, Stain, if you ever need anything, like, I got stuff, you can take it if you need it. Yeah. And, yeah. And he's like, okay, thanks. And, Deku says, sure. Anyways, if you ever need to make any changes to your, costume, let me know. I'll try to help. And he's like, thanks. And, yeah. That gives me an idea. Deku said. Stain asks, what is it? Deku says, you'll find out sooner or later, depending on how it goes. Anyways. Not important right now. But, yeah. So, let's just, show you, he already shown you. So, let's, see what's going on, and, well, I'll talk to you in 2 days. Uh, you know, use your telepathy quirk that I gave you to contact me if you need me. And, yeah, I'll introduce you to the other guys during training, in 2 days. Stain says, alright, thanks. So Deku teleports with Stain back to his place and says, alright, see ya. He then teleports back on his own and goes to his planning room. This is the most important room there is in the base, since that's where all the big stuff goes down. You know, and Deku, he had got an idea, more like I did, but he got an idea. It's like, we don't happen to have any support people. Let's look up if there's any support students anywhere that might be, useful to have around. And I don't know, maybe recruit them if they're worthy. I don't know, I didn't think of this earlier. I really should have. But I thought of it now, so give me some credit. Anyway. So we'll cut to about a week later. Deku, well, actually, let's cut to 2 days from now, because, Stain's, got introduced to everybody. So basically, Stain ends up, having the training partner of, he isn't given one right away. Actually, let's say, he, like, switches off with people, That's what they've been doing recently, but, like, they have their own, preferences on who they train with. But, like, they just switch off during training. So, Stain got introduced with everyone, everything. Like, he knows what their quirks are now. He's like, oh, everyone has telepathy. Cool. And, Deku, he's informed Shinso and Aizawa about this. And basically everyone else now, too, including Stain. He's like, I got an idea. What if we recruit people who know how to make things like support gadgets, since, like, I can make those and so can Momo, but I mean, like, we aren't specifically good at that. And they're like, that's a good idea. We should have thought of that. And it's like, yeah, but, like, we thought of it now, so, it's good. Anyways, so Deku said, I'm thinking of, like, in 5 days or so, next Saturday, we'll, I've got 2 candidates in mind, Anyways. So, let's go. So, Deku, he goes and, let's time skip to then. Stain's been training with him every other day. But let's time skip to the day of the operation. Deku's going solo on this, and, he's like, everyone else, just do your normal work. Don't let this, change what's going on. And, yeah. So, Deku, he goes and, he grabs a couple... Well, he grabs, Mei Hatsume from UA. This workhorse. He then teleports them to a secure location. And, he's like, hello, Mei Hatsume. And Mei's like really fucking confused and like, where are you? Are you a villain? Like, where am I? Who are you? Like, all of that. And Deku says, calm down. And then, I am not a villain. I'm a vigilante by your standards. I'm here to offer you a deal to join me. We've been looking for some support people to, help us with our gear. And, you may have heard of us on the news. We're that, new vigilante group, as they call us. And Deku's group, they have amassed a very, very fucking large following. Like, to the point where, like, people in other countries know who the fuck they are. Like, it's not just Japan and their area. It's like, no, all of Japan pretty much knows about them. Even people that live under rocks know who they are. And, like, some people, outside of Japan know who they are. Because, they have occasionally ran missions outside, of their country. Like, if there's some big villain, that needs to be taken care of, they'll be sent out in, like, groups of 3 or 4 or something like that. No one goes out on solo missions except for Deku, because, well, not unless there's a specific reason, Anyways. So, Deku, he's, been, Deku has been, checking... Sorry. Spaced out for a second. Deku has, been offering her, all this, reasons and everything. And, like, Maze knows who he is now, And she's like, I'm actually a big fan. Like, it'd be great if I could help you, And Deku says, great. Then you won't mind if... Then you'll join us? And Maze says, well, what about my family? And Deku says, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. You'll be able to see them whenever you want and contact them whenever you want. We'll just need to set a few things up. And, Deku, he's like, alright, where's your parents' house? And she, like, gives him, the area. And, yeah. So they go there, and, May's parents are a little surprised to see them, pop into the middle of their room. But, and, they're a little, energetic, like May. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. And, they're like, oh, May, is this your boyfriend? You finally got a boyfriend? And like, May's like, no. And Deku then speaks up and is like, he was thinking, like, dang, she's just like her parents. They're so energetic. Anyways, Deku explains, I've been looking for some support people for my group. May seems to have skills for it. So, like, I'm gonna have her, come work for me, basically. She'll be part of my group. And, we are that vigilante group, and, no, we don't do anything, morally wrong. Well, actually, that's not what he says, because, I mean, if you count killing as morally wrong, then, even if the people deserve it. Anyways. Okay. Anyways. So, yeah. So, Deku basically explains it. I'm not going to say word for word what he explains, because I can't really think of the exact words he'd use, but he explains it in a very graceful way, basically giving them all the reasons, this is why she should do it, this is why, like, it would work, and, she can still see you guys whenever you want, you'll just have to call her through this phone, and, they agree, and, Deku's like, great. So, yeah. Deku, he, convinced them, and, they're all agreeing, and, Deku's like, alright then, so, May, let's go, and, they, well, like, he's like, May, pack whatever you need, let's go. So, like, after a little bit, May packs all her shit, and they leave, and, all that jazz. And, yeah. So, after they all, packed and shit. Yeah. After that, sorry. After all of that, he teleports her there, and Shinso's just there, basically to introduce her where her room's gonna be and all that shit. Well, Deku goes to convince the second candidate, Hint, Melissa, and yeah. So yeah, Deku now goes homeless. It goes similar, but David's a little bit more hesitant, than May's parents were, but he eventually gives in since Melissa actually wanted to do it, like, badly. Like, she's like, this is a great opportunity, and like, she hasn't really agreed with what the heroes did for the most part. And yeah. Anyways, so yeah, David said fine, but I want to see what, like, type of, where she would be living and all that, and Deku's like, great. And he has Melissa pack what she needs, and then they go, this time with David, and Deku starts showing them around, and everything, like the pool, the library, the training area. Yes, they have a library. I forgot to mention it before, but they did. And everything like that. And Deku, flashback, when he decided he wanted some engineering people, he made a whole new area, like a giant ass room that has like rooms in it, a couple rooms in it, that is the engineering area, or the lab. It's gonna be called the lab, but I'll call it the lab, but you know what it is. Anyways, that's where they'll be building shit and all that. So Deku, he shows them this, and Melissa, this is probably what's going to interest you most, right here. This, and yeah, it's like top of the line, like everything. Deku, he took time. He looked up. Oh, this is, you know, like, and he doesn't have everything, but I mean, like, he's got a lot of shit, like, you know, and he's like, if they ever need anything else, I'll just make it, you know. Anyways, so yeah, and Deku's like, so what do you think? David said, I'll allow it, but I want to be able to visit her here once a week. And Deku's like, alright, what day? And he's like, it doesn't matter, does it? And dude's like, alright, just don't come unannounced. And Deku then gives David telekinesis and says, here, contact me if you ever want to see her or contact her. Either is fine. He then gives Melissa telekinesis quirk and asked, is there any other type of quirks you two wanted? Since you were quirkless, anything you ever wanted, quirk-wise? And they're really just like, nah, I'm good, honestly. And Deku's like, alright then. Let me know if your minds change. Basically, a godly level fighter over here that can create quirks and give them to other people, just saying. But anyways. He, said, well, you both have telekinesis. Well, not telekinesis. Telepathy now. So, contact. That one's like everyone in the group has it. So, you're stuck with it, whether you want it or not. It's part of the, thing. And, yeah. So, yeah. Anyways. That's how that works. Anyways, so Deku then teleports David back to island where they were living, and Melissa's like, well, where's my room? Because well, actually she's like, follows Deku to her room, and he's like, it's a little bland, but do what you like. And it's a pretty large room, like all the other ones. You know, he ain't got people living in closets or nothing. He got them in actual good sized rooms, since, he can just make bigger rooms, no problem. And, he's like, so if you will be working with one other person in the engineering, area. So, if either of you ever need, like new parts or tools to make something, let me know. Because I ain't an engineer, so I don't really know everything you need, like, for that. I mean, like, I could take the time to find out, but, like, there's no point. Anyways. So Melissa's like, okay. And, she just gets settled in, and Deku's like, well, you'll meet everyone else. Do you or do you not want to do training with, everyone else? And she's like, I guess we'll do training since, I don't want to be a burden. And in the end of this, I will make, both May and her do training. But, they will be both fairly strong. I'd say what Aizawa is in canon minus his eraser quirk. And, they don't use the scarf, They're just like hand-to-hand fighters or guns or something. I don't know. I'll make them use a weapon. Don't know if they use a couple weapons, so yeah. So time skip a week. Both me and, Melissa have gotten, settled in, they got introduced with each other like, hey. And, they're devising, what they should do. And, Deku, he's been making parts for them, tools, anything they needed. And, yeah. So, yeah. So, they have, been, making shit, different gadgets, for, like, this is pretty cool, that'd be nice to have. And, yeah. So, one day, Shoka, came in. Is like, she wants, like, to make some, heat and cold resistant, clothing. Since the shit she wore is like, yeah, that's pretty good, but I mean, it could be better. And, they're like, alright, give us a couple days, and, basically, she got what she wanted, everything like that. So basically, pretty much everyone's gone in, even Deku, to get their costumes upgraded, and Staintio, of course. He got some, better blades and everything. I'm not going to cover everyone's costumes, just Deku's. Basically, his looks the same, but it's made out of, like, it's got, like, some metal woven in, some, like, heat, like, electricity resistant. Just making it a pretty good, type of thing. And his cloak is, like, electricity proof. And, like, his normal suit's, like, fire and, like, waterproof and, like, cold proof, even though he doesn't really need it. But, it's nice to have his clothes not, burn off every time he does it. And they're extremely strong, so, they won't break from him just throwing a punch. Or, kicking or anything like that. Anyways. So, yeah. Deku's, everyone's, like, thanking them and everything. And, that was, the first... This happened over the course of, like, a month or so. Since it takes time to make things and everything. And, yeah. And, Deku, he's been planning the newest part, the next part of, what he's doing. which is taking down All for One. Yes. Wait, did I make him do that before? Give me a sec. I think I might have. I was just thinking of it, and that's why I thought I did. My bad. Anyways. So, now Deku's newest plan is to take out All for One. And All Might. And if I killed All Might off, oh well. Killing him off now again too. So, I'm not going through like the 4 or 5 hours, probably 5 hours of like footage to figure out if I did. Yeah. So sorry if I, don't get it, but yeah. If I messed it up, but yeah. It's been 2 months since I made this. Sorry I didn't continue it then. Just kind of been busy. Anyways, let me finish my tangent. So, done. And, yeah. So his plans are to defeat All for One and All Might at the same time. Since those are really the two strongest people, that are still left around. That, he declares as fakes. And, yeah. So, Deku takes out he goes to his planning room. He's planning like I think they're gonna have a confirmation. Like there's a bulletin board with lots of string going around, pins, all that fun stuff, And yeah. And he's concluded that in about 3 weeks time there will be a fight between All for One and All Might, and decided to just wait for that and then take them both out. And yeah, so he decides to start training everyone even harder, being a sadist, according to some of them. You ain't gonna die, so we gonna train you to your breaking point, and then break that breaking point, and then just make you guys stronger. And then they've been doing that. And another thing that's been happening is Deku, Momo, and Shoka, they may getting a little closer during this month, during their time off. Deku doesn't make them work 24 hours a day. That'd just be obscene. They only, they have training for like 4 or 5 hours a day, depending on the day. And, sometimes 6, depending on what's, going on. And, they gotta sleep, but, and plus they got vigilante work for like 4 hours or so. So, they still got like, since all of them only really need to sleep like 4 hours, they all got like, I'm bad at math, that's still like 10 hours left of free time a day. So, like they can train during that time or do more vigilante work, as long as they ain't doing anything stupid. They're basically given free reign, and, during that time, the three, happened to get a little closer, and, they actually went on a date. What happened was, Shoka and Mo both asked Deku out at the same time, this was in his room, and, he's like, well, I kind of like both of you, so, and, they looked at each other and like, so date both of us. And Deku's like, okay, because, I was like, alright, I guess. And, yeah. So that's what's going on. So, sorry. So, Deku and the gang, yeah. So Deku and those two, they've gone on like a total of 3 dates in this time, you know, getting to know each other a little bit, you know. And everyone knows about the relationship. If pretty much all of you live in the same place, gossip kind of travels. Just saying. So yeah, basically everyone knows, and yeah. So yeah, so Deku and everyone. That's what happened in the month. Everyone's just been training really hard. Shinso and Kyoka have also gotten together. Or Jiro, as you may know, or I don't know if you don't know her first name or not, but Kyoka Jiro. That's Jiro's first name. Anyways, so yeah, and that's what's going on. And yeah. So Deku, you know. So Deku, that's what's going on with them. They've all been training, and they're all about 180% of what they were before. So 1.8 times stronger, each of them. Except for like a couple exceptions, like Aizawa was like 2 times stronger, and like Shinso's like 3 times stronger because he's been pushing himself. Because Deku informed everyone about this. So they've been pushing themselves, and yeah. Melissa and May will not participate in this fight simply because they're support people. And they haven't been trained to a point of obscene power like everyone else. Like, everyone else at the point is in the top 10 heroes level. And, like, some of them are like 9, like, most of them are like around 8, 9, a couple 10, a couple like 7. But like Shinso, he's already past Endeavor. Like he's in between Endeavor and All Might right now. Like he there, and then like Aizawa, he's in between Endeavor and Hawks type level. He's close to Endeavor. Closer to Endeavor than he is Hawks. But like they're obscenely powerful. Like everyone is quality, and like Stain, he's like number 4 hero already. Level. And he's just impressive. Like everyone, like if they all went together, they could easily body All Might and All For One. But we just So Deku's it's a day before, and Deku's like, all right, if there's anyone for any reason that doesn't want to do this, he says this on every mission, you don't have to go. And May and Melissa, sorry, but you're not allowed to participate in big raids like this yet. And May and like Melissa, they're like understandable because it's like we've had a month training. Like they're probably about the average pro hero level, but not like any of the big time ones, just like the smaller ones. They've probably got about that much level of fighting power, but it's just not what's what we're worried about. Anyways, so yeah, so Deku's like, all right, no training for the next day, and yeah, continue vigilante work, but don't strain yourselves. And yeah, so yeah, and most of them do weight training. So he's like, if you do weight training, take off your weights now so you're used to your normal speed without them, and I'll be going now. So they all just have a casual day off from training. They have vigilante work, and then the next day rolls around, and Deku's like, all right, get ready, start, he's like, May and Melissa, would you mind checking gear and repairing it if it's broken? And yeah, They do. It's not pretty hard. It's not that hard since, Oh, yeah, by the way, Deku did give them sleepless like the other people. So they only need to sleep 4 hours. I can't believe I forgot that. Sorry. Anyways, I remembered it now. So they all, they have sleepless now. And, yeah. So, they had like 16 hours to check everything, beforehand. And then, they're like, everything's good. And, now it's like an hour before, and everyone's, starting to get their gear on and everything. Do some warm up stretches and everything. So that's what happens during that hour. And, yeah. And that's what's happening. So everyone's, wrapped up, all ready to go. And, Deku's like, alright, I'll give a signal, and then we'll all teleport as a group. Except for me and Melissa, you'll two will be staying here. And, they're like, alright. And, yeah. So, everyone goes to, everyone then teleports after Deku gives a signal, Deku basically just teleports them all. He's like, alright, we're going into 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He then teleports them to a battlefield that's basically destroyed and says, help any civilians around. And, he says, Shinso, stay with me. Everyone else go. Sorry if you heard that. I don't know what that was. But whatever. Anyways. So they all split up, and Deku and Shinso basically are running up to the middle of the fight, and Deku tells Shinso, alright, try and use your quirk on them if possible. If not, just attack them with weapons. Shinso's like, alright. And Shinso does use the scarf like Aizawa in this one, since Aizawa did teach it to him. But he also uses knives, and he can use guns, but he doesn't carry them on him. But, like, he can use them. But, yeah. So, basically, right when All Might and All for One were clashing, Deku's like, Shinso, take All Might, I'll take All for One. And, he's like, alright, be careful, don't let him take your quirk. He'd be unstoppable if he did. Deku says, I know. I'll stick to ranged combat. And go for a kill shot. And Deku says to Shinso, you're given free range to use lethal force. Just don't kill any bystanders. He's like, Roger. And they go to their separate fights. I'll cover Shinso's first. So Shinso basically runs to All Might, and All Might's like, shit, in his mind, because he's like, I know how strong they are. And, Shinso, when he's revved up and everything, he's at All Might level, maybe a little bit better, And, yeah. So, he's basically, he's not bodying, it's a pretty fair fight, and Shinso is just provoking him, making it easier to win fight, and, trying to provoke him into speaking. But he's pretty sure that All Might knows what his quirk is, since a lot of people do, since he is, a pretty well-known vigilante. Doesn't stop some people from talking, though. Just saying. And, Shinso, he's, talking about, are you really this weak? I really expected the number one here to be better and all that, yeah, and all that type of shit. And, he then goes and thinks, what would your master think? Since, he doesn't know much about it, but he doesn't know that she was killed. And, that gets All Might. He's like, don't you dare talk about my master like that. And Shinso's like, gotcha. Shinso then walks up to him takes a knife and stabs it right through All Might's eye to his brain, killing him instantly. And All for One saw this. Actually, let's not talk about that right now. And Shinso's like, "Goodbye, number one hero. Though you're really more like a villain." Anyways, so yeah. By the way, Stain was called in for this, if he needed a confirmation. But yeah. And, so, yeah. Let's go before the main event. Let's talk about, all of the others, like Stain, Aizawa, Shoka, Momo, everyone else like that, that's there. So they're helping people and helping people, but then they see, 1A, they came to help All Might, which is really a bad idea, but they did get stronger from training since, they were, like motivated. Like, we gotta get stronger and shit. But, basically, they all try to fight, but, they get bodied. Like, completely. It's not even a fair fight, man. My guy, it's not even a fair fight. They all get, like, they get curb stomped and shit. It's like, it's not even called a fight at that point. It's just getting them beat up. I'm just saying. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening right now. But after they get beat up and then killed, since none of them had been seen to have any, path of, greatness or, even decent human being, um, they were all killed, and then, the vigilantes went back to saving people, and, that was that. Just covering a little mini fight, like, they all tried to shoot shit, but, like, even, like, Shoka would be enough to kill them, like, all of them. Like, she's at, like, number 6 spot, probably, in the hero rankings, if she was compared to other pro heroes. So, yeah, that was that. And, yeah. So, now we go to the main fight. Deku versus All for One. And All for One is stronger than in canon this time, because he had stolen a couple more quirks. We're saying that. So, yeah. And, so Deku basically knows how All for One's quirk works, and, he made the, being the genius that he is, he made a quirk that says, "No quirks can be taken from me without my specific permission." And yeah. And Deku was like, "Well, you can't steal my quirk now, so I should be fine." He then activated his ultra regeneration, he isn't hurt, but, like, it's just, when you get hurt, it's better to have it before, it happens. It's just best to, you know, all that. And anyways, so basically he's unkillable at the moment, and he then activates a lightning quirk that he uses. It's probably one of his best quirks, one of his strongest fighting quirks, And he uses Arsenal, and he makes a nice couple daggers, and I believe I showed them before in this as a thumbnail, so it's the same. If not, oops. Just imagine some, like, great daggers. I think this was a different whatever. But anyways, think about some other daggers. Think about some really good looking daggers, and boom. He basically takes them out with Arsenal, and they're silver with lightning strikes through them. And, Deku is now using his lightning fighting style, which is really just speed focused. But like, don't get me wrong, he's still got lots of power behind it. But yeah, All for One's currently powering up his quirks. Deku's, up, you know, using his upgrade quirk to upgrade the lightning a couple times because gotta make it powerful. Gotta be OP, man. Gotta be OP. Like, Deku's gonna be OP. He is OP already. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, he activates that. Then he activates a quirk that basically is. If you've seen Seven Deadly Sins, it's like Derriere's combo star. If you haven't, I'll basically explain it. So the more hits he lands, the more damage it does. He activates that quirk. So basically, he hits him once, it hurts. Hits him twice, it hits him twice as hard. He hits him a third time, it hits him, and like it hits him twice as hard as it did when he was hit a second time. It basically just goes more and more and more. So even if you start out with like the weakest punch that's like a flick, basically, you can end up after enough punches, breaking a building. And that's what Deku, he activated that. But like it has to be uninterrupted. Like he can't like wait 10 minutes, to punch again. It has like a 10-15 second window. Like you got to hit within that again, or earlier, Otherwise, it'll be broken. And you can't be hit, If you get hit, you get hit. And it stops the combo. So yeah. So Deku activates that, and basically he rushes in towards, All for One, using all of his speed possible. He had already removed his weights from before. Now it's basically, just him. And he is speed, my guy. He is like speed of light almost over here, like, bro. All for One, like, has very strong defense quirks, yes, so it doesn't do anything first hit, but Deku hits him like 5 times and it starts to, he starts to feel it. And All for One can't really do too much. Like he swings a couple times but misses. And he hits Deku, like Deku's like on the 8th hit now, but like All for One hit him this time out of pure dumb luck. Alright. He ain't stronger than Deku. And he's like, and Deku did take some damage from this. Not too much though, since the regeneration quirk basically healed it all. Like, yeah, so. But All for One tried to steal his quirk that time, and he couldn't. And he says, why couldn't I take your quirk? And Deku says, well, it could be that because I had multiple, or because I made a quirk that made it so you can't take my quirk without my permission, and you don't have it. And yeah, probably that. And All for One's like, damn it, because like he knows he's outmatched, but like if he stole Deku's quirk, he could probably win. But now it's like, shit, I am losing this, And like he like, oh shit. And basically, Deku, he took out, All for One pretty quickly. Like he continued using his lightning, and now like this time, like All for One, he didn't land a hit out of luck. He didn't, because Deku started being even more serious, and he's about 12 hits in, 13, 14, 15. And 15's about where it starts to crack All for One's defense. Basically, this, like, making him almost, making him rely on his regeneration quirk. At 20 hits, he is on the verge of death. After 21, he's dead. Well, he's not dead, but he's, like, knocked out. Deku then kills him and says, no longer will you terrorize us. And there was news helicopters around, and Deku raises up his hand and says, This is a dawn of a new age, an age of real heroes. No longer will there be fakes or villains to terrorize people. We are the new generation of heroes, and we will protect you. So rise up and become a true hero. Giving this inspiring speech that I cannot give because I don't really know the exact words, alright? So, imagine something extremely inspiring. And basically, this was on international television because, like, bro, someone taking out the number one villain kind of seems like it would be news, right? Like, people saw it. And, any heroes that were corrupt, well, they were kind of dealt with, either put in prison or killed, depending on what happened. And, yeah, you know, so time skip 2 years later. This is the ending, unfortunately. But I will give some nice insight into what happened, because I hate it when people don't do that. So, after winning the fight against All Might and All for One, everyone was basically on board with the group of quote-unquote vigilantes, now heroes. They are like treated like heroes because that's what they are. And now let's see. So all the remnants of any country, any heroes that were in the top 10 of their country that were corrupt, they were taken care of. Actually, all the corrupt heroes were taken care of pretty much. There's like a few that slipped through the cracks, but like they they like the fame, but like they still do their jobs properly. They just do it for the fame, but like they do their jobs properly, so they ain't killed or anything. But yeah, so the heroes are either rotting in a very high security jail. Deku actually decided to make, one for every continent. He calls them the Continental Jails. Each around the center of the continent, and each made completely different. And it's very difficult to find, and Deku himself actually takes villains there with his teleportation quirk. No one really knows what they are. They just know that they're somewhere in the center. And, yeah. A couple governments have been told where they are and everything, but, it's very hush-hush and top secret. So, yeah. So Deku has now become the new world's symbol of peace. Crime rate all over has dropped to like less than 0.1%, even in places like that are like heavily populated, everything like that. Problems like world hunger, they've been like pretty well solved because like a lot of the rich people in us were heroes, and like that wealth has been redistributed. Yes, there are still pro heroes, but the systems run completely different. Basically, hero ranking is decided by how many people they help. Any like community cleanup type things, like you clean up a beach, that gets you something. Now, heroes are, given living wages. It's like they can comfortably live. But they aren't given like, you get $1 million this month. They aren't given that type of money, no. But they're given like comfortable living type things, If they do a good job, good. That's what you're supposed to do. Congrats. You get you can increase your hero ranking. There is a ranking system in this. It's based off of points, a point system. Every year, there's points, and you can be determined into one of the types of classes of heroes. There is, bronze class, which is normal, nothing sad, about a third of, well, maybe a little less than like 30% of the people are in there. There's silver, gold, diamond, platinum, and then there's star, then ranking. Star is already like top 1%. Ranking is really just like, if you can, like, ranking, like, you're either at the tippy top of star, like, if you're at the top of star, if you make it, like, there is ranking for the top 100 heroes, no, 1,000 heroes across the world. It's very prestigious. And if you're in star, you're already, like, really, really good. Like, less than 1%. Less than 1%. Top 1% there. And yeah. So that's what's going on there. That's how it's run. The system, like, the points, you're given points for catching criminals, you know, saving people's lives, you know, everything to everything. And there are different categories of, you know, things. Like, you could be the strongest hero, but you may not be the best in rescue. That's great. Because they have, like, different, you know, systems. Like, this is for, you know, this ranking is for, you know, strength. This one's for saving, you know, people. For rescue. And, you know, they have two different systems. Most of people that rank, like, the top 100 that rank on, like, power also rank somewhere in, like, the rescue, probably, you know. But it's not, like, a forced thing, you know, or anything. But, like, you know, that's how it works. You can be, like, you can be silver in, like, rescue, but, like, diamond in, you know, power, you know. That just is how it works. And, yeah. So that's how the new system works for heroes. Things like, you know, all the strongest villains and all the strongest heroes, if they weren't put to death, you know, the ones that didn't commit anything crime-wise that's that bad, but, like, you know, still committed crimes, you know, they're put in the Continental prisons that I said. Deku takes them there personally. You know, not many people earn the right to be there. Yes, there are security guards there, but all of them are pro heroes that are basically off the radar heroes. There is underground heroes. They have their own types of things, but, you know, they just do, you know, more covert operations, stuff like that. And, yeah. So, you know, Deku is, of course, number one in power. Number one. Shinso is second. Aizawa third. Shoka fourth. And who do we put as fifth? You know what? Whoever is fifth is whoever you want it to be. Alright? I don't really know. Let's think here. Who do we got? You know what? I got no idea. Anyways. So, yeah. We got, you know, them and, like, Deku. I'm not going to cover all of theirs, you know, rescue. But he's, like, number, like, 12 or something for, like, rescue. Since he mostly does villain things. But, no, let's put him at number 10. You know, he's top 10. And, yeah. And all that. But, yeah. The number one for rescue, let's say, is Melissa. See, she happened to, you know, meet gadgets and become a rescue hero, which is great. So, yeah. That's that. With everyone, they all became heroes in the new system. You know, a couple of them moved around, like, each country does have its own ranking, you know, but, like, this is the world ranking system, you know, that I described. Each one has its own past that. But, yeah. Deku's number one in the world. And, in Japan, you know, he stayed in Japan. Shinso's number 2 in Japan. Aizawa did... no, he actually stayed there. Basically, like, a couple of them, like, Kirishima or Jiro... Well, not Jiro. I shipped her with, you know, him. So, no. Like, Kirishima or something moved to America or something, you know. There's just a couple people that are spread around. Anyways. So, yeah. Deku, you know, he is now number one. He did end up getting married to Momo and Shoka, because, like, tell the number one hero of the world that he can't get married to two people. Come on. Let him do what he wants. So, yeah, they all got married, you know, They had a couple kids later, but that's after the 2 year time skip, you know. They still like teenagers at this point, so you know, like they had kids in their 20s, you know. And yeah. So, um that's what happened. So yeah. I guess I did end it. This will be the final part, or part 5, whichever you prefer to say. I will put it as the finale and part 5 of What If Deku Could Create Quirks. Sorry that I did not post this for 2 months. I was busy. I was also very uninspired for a while. I just found a lot of what ifs and was listening to them rather than making them. So, you know, you understand. Anyways, thank you for watching this. And yeah, finish this series. I'm hoping to finish off the What If Deku Was Quirkless series next. I don't know. Maybe I'll continue the What If Deku Was in Black Clover universe first, but I really think I should do the Quirkless one first. I really would like to know if anyone wanted to see more of the Forest Guardian What If, since it's been up for like a day. One person's seen it. I made it because someone asked for it, but I mean, like, if no one's gonna watch it, just let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. I hope you like the series. If you have any suggestions, I'll be taking them, but I would like to finish up another series or two before I start another one. Since I had like, I don't know, 4 or 5 going at the moment after this. And, I want to get it down to, 3 at a time. Since, my brain can't keep up with it all. But comment or like any videos you want me to see, like, make the next part of. I will try to do that tomorrow. I do not know when I won't make the next part of something. But it is very difficult to, spend an hour and something minutes a day, doing this. But, thank you for watching so much. This will be my final part of this. Bye.